welcome to Something to Talk About. My name is Taco, and I'm here to talk about a character from the Song of Ice and Fire / Game of Thrones lore. Did you know that? All right, that's what I'm doing. We're talking about this guy again. All right, we're talking about Raleigh Duckfield again. I am so excited. When I first decided I was going to redo all my kind of older characters, I was really excited to redo Duck because I didn't do a great job last time. I kind of really cut through his story a lot. It was just like, and he's part of the Shyade anyways, and then I moved on. Like I'm giving him a pretty fair hunk this time. I went through all the chapters. I found little tiny things where he was just there for a second, and yeah, I'm excited. Also, I've been talking about these sorrows a lot lately, and the River Royne a lot lately. I did a short a while back for the Sorrows, another short for everyone who's ever gotten grayscale, and then a short for all turtles on the Royne. And I'm like filming this, so just a lot of Royne. So yeah, if you don't know what's going on here, this is what's going on here. I do all this in one big long ranty take, so you can just get the entirety of my crazy brain at you, right? Unfiltered. And yeah, we're talking Raleigh Duckfield, dude. So spoilers for the books complete, like I'll be talking about Tyrion's story in the last book. So if you don't want any of that, get out of here. And I don't know how much I'm going to be spoiling for the show because this character is not in the show and his entire plot isn't in the show, but I might, I'll say something, I'm sure. So yeah, get out of here if you don't want any spoilers. So let's get it, man. Let's get that duck. All right. Raleigh of Bitterbridge. Raleigh Duckfield, also known as Duck, is a knight in service of Young Griff. Duck is a brawny man with a shaggy beard and a stalk of orange hair. Raleigh was born in the Reach. His father was a blacksmith at Bitterbridge in service to Lord Caswell. Raleigh's strength and skill with a blade earned him a place in the castle garrison, but Raleigh had dreams of knighthood. We'll get to all that. I'm kind of cutting his story in 2 slides. But before I get to the second part of his story, let's actually talk about, this is kind of a slide for House Caswell, but he's not part of House Caswell. So I named it Bitterbridge. So it's more of a slide about Bitterbridge. Actually, Bitterbridge, formerly known as Stonebridge, is the seat of House Caswell in the Reach. Bitterbridge is situated where the River Mander meets the Rose Road. It takes a name from an ancient stone bridge that crosses the Mander. The castle is small, made from stone and timber. The keep is not that tall, but the land is low and flat and makes it seem taller. Okay, a battle at Stonebridge was one of the many battles during the Faith Militant Uprising against King Maegor the Cruel. The savagery of that particular battle made the Mander run red with blood for 20 leagues. The bridge and castle that commanded was forever known as Bitterbridge instead of Stonebridge thereafter. So, yeah, he had a stony house and a stony bridge. And Maegor the Cruel fought the Faith Militants so violently that they're like, nope, Bitterbridge. Have you tried that stone lately? It tastes bitter. Is that what? All right, let's keep going about Raleigh. So his 16th birthday, though now a guardsman, he was not a knight, and therefore he resented seeing Lord Caswell's weakling son, Laurent, become a page, a squire, and then a knight. Lord Caswell had only one son, so no one in the castle was allowed to say a word against Laurent. Little Laurent. In the yard, the other squires barely touched him, and on his 16th name day, Raleigh's father made a longsword for Raleigh, like happy birthday, man, as a present. But little Laurent, saw it, and he claimed it for his own, saying to Raleigh that he is only fit to wield a hammer, not a sword. So this caused Raleigh to go fetch a hammer and break both of Laurent's arms and half his ribs. Oh my God. little violent. Raleigh then fled across a narrow sea to escape Lord Caswell's wrath. He joined the Golden Company as an apprentice smith for a few years, and then he served Harry Strickland as a squire. I have a video for homeless Harry Strickland. It is a let's talk about the difference, comparing him to the very different version of him that made it into the Game of Thrones show. So check that out if you're interested, just so you know. When Griff needed someone to train Young Griff, when Old Griff needed somebody to train Young Griff in the skill at arms, homeless Harry Strickland sent him Raleigh. A year later, Raleigh was knighted by Griff. After having no surname, Raleigh chose the name Duckfield because he was in a field with some ducks when he was knighted, earning him the nickname Duck. First time I did this video, I kind of made fun of that. And I'm going to do the exact same thing. I feel like it was a pretty funny joke, and I'm just going to repeat it. So it's like, rise, Raleigh. What do you want for your name? And he's like, I don't know. We're in a field. There's a duck over there. Duckfield. I know it's the same joke, but that's like how I picture it. Like, I'm a knight in the field with Duckfield. Sir Duckfield. All right, Raleigh. Can I be part of your super secret plan? Sure. Hope it's not important. It is. All right, so meeting Tyrion. So now we're going to jump ahead. So Tyrion flees King's Landing after brutally murdering his own father and is smuggled into Pentos by Illyrio, who then takes him across Essos. And Tyrion awakes to find that the litter has stopped. So I'm kind of jumping over a lot, right? Tyrion does this whole kill Tywin and Shyade thing, and then it's getting smuggled. And then he wakes up as this litter that he's traveling in stops. And he's like, why don't we stop, right? So Tyrion awakes to find that the litter has stopped. He gets up to take a pee, and he gets interrupted by Holden Halfmaester and Sir Raleigh Duckfield, the guy we're talking about. Tyrion judges them as outlaws and asks Illyrio if they are friendly and if he should get his axe. So to this, Raleigh says, your axe? No, wait, what was I doing? Your axe? Yeah, there's a duck. Your axe? Did you hear that, Holden? This little man wants to fight us. All right, I like that. Holden claims small men need to act big and doubts if he could kill a duck. So Tyrion says, go fetch the duck. And Holden presents Raleigh, who pulls out a bastard sword and says, duck, you mouthy little piss pot. Yeah, I love this voice for Duck. I do not care. All right, so yeah, Tyrion's, answering the call of nature, and then these guys come up, and he's like, you want me to take these guys out with my axe? And Holden's like, dude, you couldn't even kill a duck. He's like, yeah, kid, get the duck. And Raleigh's like, hi, me, Duck. It's a pretty funny scene, all right? So where was I? Yeah, he calls him a little piss pot, says he wants to fight us. All right, Holden. Oh, I already did that. I'm a duck. Yeah. Tyrion claims that he had a smaller duck in mind and making Raleigh laugh. Do you hear that, Holden? He wants a smaller duck. I didn't make this up. That's his dialogue. Holden claims he would be happier with a quieter one. Yeah, this duck squawks too much. Holden asks Illyrio for the supplies they are there for, and he tells Raleigh to fetch the 6 chests. Though Raleigh protests a little, they make small talk about how young Griff is doing and how he knocked Raleigh into a horse trough. That's kind of funny. But Raleigh claims he fell in it to make young Griff laugh. Yeah, I fell into that horse trough on purpose. Shut up. Illyrio invites them to dinner, but Holden says that they do not have the time and discuss the movements of the Dothraki. Yeah, there's a lot of small talk. I'm kind of moving. When there's these really heavy dialogue-heavy chapters, I'm not trying to cover the chapter. I'm trying to cover the character. So it's a lot. It's hard when Raleigh says something once and then it's rather interesting dialogue, but you guys don't need to hear me say an entire paragraph about what the Dothraki are up to. It has nothing to do with the Raleigh Duckfield, right? So that's why it kind of comes off awkward sometimes. That and I'm kind of awkward. The Shy Maid. Holden asks Illyrio if Tyrion can ride, but Tyrion answers for himself. He's like, yeah, I can ride. Holden then introduces himself and Sir Duck. And Raleigh says, Sir Raleigh, Duck. Sir Raleigh Duckfield, any knight can make a knight, and Griff made me. And you, dwarf? Illyrio says the dwarf's name is Yolo, although Tyrion, worried that they will realize that this name's a lie, claims that that is his name in Pentos, and that his name is Hugor Hill. Tyrion and Holden test each other's knowledge, like book knowledge. Yeah, they kind of have a little like nerd off, right? After Tyrion rides down the Dragon Road with the pair, who tease Tyrion with tales of river pirates and the Shrouded Lord, though Duck warns them not to speak of him so close to the Royne. So Duck's a little like freaked out by them bringing up the Shrouded Lord, even though they're nowhere near the the sorrows. They're just near the river, but he's like, hey, don't say that loud. Crazy ghost guy can hear you. Crazy, whatever you want to say, grayscale pirate monster. Though Duck, warns them. Holden mocks him, saying, wisdom from a duck. And Duck recounts the events that led to his knighting, which we already covered, right? He tells the story I did at the beginning. At the hands of Griff in his unusual name, and tells them not to laugh. They ride until they reach the Little Royne at Gohan Dorhe, I don't know, where a pole boat named the Shy Maid is waiting for them. Young Griff calls out as they arrive, and Tyrion judges the pole boat, and he sees the captain, Yandri, and his wife Ysilla, along with Septa Lamore, who I have covered before, and finally Old Griff. He tells them to shut up and insults Tyrion and sends him to his cabin. Yeah, immediately Old Griff comes out and's like, everybody shut up. Why are you here? And he's like, I'm here to help. He's like, God damn it. All right, get in my cabin. Let's talk. My throat hurts too much. I shouldn't do that voice for Old Griff. The older man then reads a letter that was sent by Illyrio telling of Tyrion's murder of his father. So this letter straight up says who he is, right? Not everybody knows, but Old Griff knows, right? And if you don't know who Old Griff is and you don't know who Young Griff is, cool, keep it secret for no reason for a minute, but I'm sure you guys know. You guys are smart. You're smart fans. On the Royne again, on the Shy Maid, the band travel down the River Royne towards Volantis. Duck trains the purple-eyed Young Griff with weapons daily. One morning, they all break their fast with Yandri and Ysilla, and Duck punches at Young Griff in the shoulder, saying, time to raise some bruises, sores today, I think. And that's like, that's how you like say hi to your friend. Like, come on, let's go work out and do manly stuff. What are manly men into? Monster trucks or something? I don't know. So Young Griff likes the sound of that, and they get into armor, and then with their blunted weapons, and in train, they train on the deck. So they get into their armor, or grab their blunted weapons, and they're training on the boat, right? Raleigh's size and strength helps when fighting with mace or blunted axe, but with swords, the fights are a lot more even. Young Griff landing more hits, but Raleigh's were stronger, right? Griff shoulder charges Duck into the river. Gah! All right. And then Tyrion then tosses him a rope and says, ducks should swim better than that. And then when Tyrion laughs and mocks him about it, Duck chucks him overboard. He's like, yeah, you want to see swimming? Ah! Didn't we just say Duck got into armor? That can't be easy to swim in armor. Jeez. Be a little nicer, Tyrion. I don't know if you guys know this, but Dance of Dragons late game Tyrion, bit of a jerk. He is. I'm just saying. He's not a nice guy in these later books. Later, when the Shy Maid is going through the sorrows, the crew discuss the many legends of the Shrouded Lord, the gray grace of the Stone Men, and everybody takes turns sharing tales they have heard. Some rumors say that the shrouded lord is Prince Garin himself, risen from the watery grave. Raleigh Duckfield likes the other version of the tale, in which the shrouded lord was a statue at first, and a gray woman, from the frog kissed him into life, or from the fog. I don't know why I said frog. Kissed him into life, with his lips as cold as ice. Right? It's very much some Azura High, not Azura High, some what am I looking for? Night's King stuff, right? Of a gray lady from the fog in the death's kiss. There's some Night King stuff with the Shrouded Lord. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, there's a lot of legends. But if you guys don't know who the Shrouded Lord is, he's a possible person in charge of all the stone men down there. He's like a legendary grayscale figure, right? So yeah. Where am I at? Yeah, Raleigh likes the version where he's a statue that gets brought into life, right? Instead of a guy who's turning into the statue, it's the other way around. Griff shuts them up as they move through the ruins of a palace in the ruins of Trahain. So Duck working the pole. So Duck's, pushing the pole boat, right? That's what Duck's doing right now. And they're going through this big creepy palace with this big creepy bridge and this flooded out old city, right? That's what's going on. So the gallant Duck, the Shyade travels through Tyrion, meeting the Kingfisher, which is another boat, and observing the Palace of Sorrow, which is what they're going by right now. They sail unscathed underneath the Bridge of Dreams, but despite sailing with the current of the Rhine, they appear to approach the Bridge of Dreams again shortly afterwards, right? So there's a lot of speculation of what happened here. Are they in a time loop? I know a lot of your more theory, timey-wimey, your Michael talks about stuff, and your Preston Jacobs, that they're stuck in a weird time loop. Maybe somebody changed something in the Matrix. Maybe Bran changed something in the Matrix and we have a little time loop. Or maybe just the sorrows in this big flooded old ruins of a city, the current is just messed up. We don't know. We don't know why they're going up to a bridge and then they pass it and they're like, hey, it's a good thing all the stone men didn't jump down. And then they look and they're like, is that the bridge again? Oh no. And they go over it again or go under it again. And this time stone men do jump down. So that's awful. So yeah, they are attacked by stone men during their second voyage past the bridge. Duck uses his pole to help fight them off, but it doesn't work. Tyrion gets pulled under and Griff catches a grayscale by saving him. So if you don't know who stone men are, they're people who are so inflicted by grayscale that they've gone to the sorrows to kind of live. And a lot of them just kind of let you go by, and other of them are kind of crazy. You kind of lose your mind with grayscale later on. But yeah, that's, if you didn't know, I'm sure you knew all that. But yeah. So after Tyrion wakes back up, he plays, there's a whole thing, but again, I'm skipping until I get to Duck stuff. He plays a game with Young Griff slash Aegon, who he's figured out now, by the way. This is Aegon. After taking him into talking him into invading Westeros without the help of Daenerys. So we find out that this is actually possibly Aegon, as in Rhaegar's son, right? And he's actually trying to get over to Daenerys to marry her or whatever Targaryens do. I mean, they're related. They have to get married, right? And to attack Westeros. But Tyrion kind of goads him into like, no. You should go and attack Westeros first. And he doesn't really have a dog in this race. It's just Tyrion kind of just like doing stuff. He's just making plays to make plays. He's going in the business for himself. You know what I'm saying? So, so then he tells him to trust no one, not his chainless maester, Hodor, not Hodor the half-maester, not his false father, Griff, and definitely not the gallant Duck or the lovely Lamore. He goes, trust nobody, right? Once Yandri and Ysilla come back to the Shyade because they're like parked, she sees Tyrion and then makes a scene because she is being distracted by Tyrion. And she collides with Yandri, and it causes a fish to drop. Like, she's holding a fish. She sees Tyrion. She stops. Her husband runs into her. She drops a fish that just starts going everywhere, and Duck has to pick it up for her. That's it. I only brought this in because Duck picks up a fish, so I had to leave it in. After the disappearance of Tyrion, Lord John Connington, right? That's who old Griff is. Dun, dun, dun. Decided to continue their route to Voluntaries, where they're going to meet up with the Golden Company. So when Septa Lamore suggests they keep Young Griff on the ship for safety, but John Con tells her that Harry Strickland, if Harry Strickland wants him, he has an entire army and they just have a duck, right? It's like, yeah, but I'm kind of afraid of Young Griff going with because he's the prince, right? And he's like, dude, if the Golden Company want him, all we have to protect him is a duck. So let's just do it, right? So, yep, I already did that. We're getting there. The invasion. So Duck and John, I'm skipping over a lot, participate in the landing at the Golden Company of the storm into the Stormlands. So yeah, at that talk in Voluntaries, Aegon pretty much convinces all of them, like, hey, let's invade Westeros. And they all go for it, and they invade Westeros. So Duck's not part of that meeting. That's why I'm skipping over that whole meeting. But like I said, check out my there's a Flowers guy too, right? I covered another person who was there. I'm not remembering that. Franklin Flowers, yeah. I got Franklin Flowers was there for it, and also my Harry Strickland video. You should check out if you want to know more about that actual meeting. But we're jumping right to the invasion of the Stormlands, right? So the Golden Company have landed on Cape Wrath in the Westerlands, and they managed to seize Griffin's Roost, which is the ancestral seat of John Connington and all the others and a bunch of other small castles by taking them unaware. Once things feel safe, he calls for Aegon. Yet they have not raised the banners. Yeah, they have yet to raise the banners. So they're calling for Aegon, but they haven't put Targaryen flags down yet, if you know what I'm saying. 4 days later, after he took Griffin's Roost, Prince Aegon arrives with Duck, and Duck is now his first member of the Kingsguard. So he's dressed like a Kingsguard now. Duck was named the new Kingsguard by Aegon, but John Con does not approve the choice. He thinks Duck is a solid man and true, but not worthy of the Kingsguard, and that they should be reserving positions for famous warriors and young sons of great lords whose support they will need for the throne, right? He's trying to think of, we should have used that politically. Like, naming people to the Kingsguard is a very powerful political maneuver, and you're just wasting it on a duck. However, Aegon feels that it's most important that Raleigh will die for him, because he will, because Raleigh, he trusts Raleigh. Citing the Kingslayer, Sir Jaime Lannister's example of Jon's preferences. Like, yeah, why don't I go for one of your gallant knights that everybody likes with renown, who's a son of a high lord? For what? Look what the Kingslayer did. He killed my grandpa, right? It would be Aegon's grandpa. If that's actually Aegon. I'm not getting into fake Aegon theories right now. If you know who Young Griff is, you know about fake Aegon theories. I'm not talking about them. And that's it. We're completely caught up, so let's get into a little bit of extra stuff. So my extra credits here at the end. Little Ducky, you're the one. Wait, that's a rubber ducky. So in my first video about Duck, I mentioned the connections between Duck and Dunk, Sir Duncan the Tall, because they are both lowborn and they both become a knight and they both join the Kingsguard eventually. But that's it. One is rather violent. And when I call Raleigh violent, I'm not really referring to his time on the Shyade. He seems really chill. It's more, excuse me, of beating Lord Caswell with a hammer, breaking his arms. Like, I think that's a little much. Lord Caswell was being a prick. Maybe you should have smacked him and then left, but he just attacked him with a hammer and just beat the tar out of him. And would I have done that? Maybe. But the point is, I'm trying to make is he's a lot more violent than Dunk. When Dunk saw a prince doing something, he punched him and kicked him. He didn't grab a hammer and break all of his bones, right? And that's kind of that injustice thing. But yeah, I'm saying is there are some connections between Duck and Dunk, but Duck does seem like the more violent version of Dunk. Yeah, I got it right. Okay, cool. That's it. So yeah, one of them's a little violent. The other one is one of the truest knights of all time, if he was even knighted, which we don't even know if Dunk was knighted. So I did find a fan theory on Reddit by L. Chris, the legendary L. Chris, called Raleigh Duckfield / Lord Caswell. And it's a fun little theory that Raleigh will run into his old rival from childhood at some point and then have to kill him. So it's a fun read, and it's if it sounds like something you want to do, go read it. If you just type in Raleigh Duckfield theories, you'll find it. That's how I found it. It's really long, so I did not do it justice. Here you guys go. Raleigh Duckfield. We're almost done. We got a few left of my remakes, and then I'll have to do something else every other week as I do Let's Talk About the Differences the other week. So that's it. I'm going to go, and yeah, thank you for watching. Click like and subscribe. Peace.